much. I appreciate everyone in attendance. My name is Rhonda Fields. I have the privilege and honor of serving as the executive director with Girls on the Run of Southeastern Michigan. And welcome to She Can Run, featuring Dr. Tiffany Porter. I just want to say, for those of you who don't know, Girls on the Run is an after-school program for girls in 3rd through 8th grade. And at Girls on the Run, we are dedicated to creating a world where every girl knows and activates her limitless potential and is free to boldly pursue her dreams. Really quickly, on behalf of the 691 participants we're serving this spring, thank you all for attending. Thank you to our amazing Girls on the Run participants here who you'll learn more about and get to hear some fantastic questions. And of course, thank you to the brilliantly talented Dr. Porter. And I'm going to hand it off to my co-sponsor, Alana from Project Play.
Thank you, Rhonda. Good evening, everyone. I have to say that music that you had running, Rhonda, had me excited, ready to be brave. And I'm just super excited on behalf of Project Play Southeast Michigan to be a part of She Can Run and today's conversation. Project Play for Southeast Michigan, it's a youth sports initiative that is in partnership with the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan and the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation. And at Project Play, we are committed to, much like Girls on the Run, creating a world where all children have access to sports, and their income, their zip code, their gender, all of that, none of that should be a barrier to participating in sport. And so I am super excited to introduce you to our guest speaker this evening. Dr. Tiffany Porter is not only a role model for girls of color, women of color. She is just breaking barriers, and we are so excited that she's breaking those barriers right here in Michigan. So that's incredible. So I know that many of you received the information in Dr. Porter's bio, but for those of you who didn't have a chance to hear all of her amazing accomplishments, just going to run them down really quickly and tell you some of her highlights. So she's been running track professionally for 12 years. During that time, she has competed in not only the 2012 Olympic Games, but also the 2016 Olympic Games. She holds numerous world championship medals. She currently holds the British national records in the 600 and 100 meter hurdles. She is a graduate of the University of Michigan, where she earned a doctorate in pharmacy. During her time at the U of M, she was a 5-time NCAA champion, team captain, school record holder, Big Ten Medal of Honor, and academic All-American. And not only all of that, Dr. Porter is currently practicing retail pharmacy here in our area. So she is bad and bold, not only on the field, but off the field as well. So today I also want to introduce you to two amazing Girls on the Run participants who will be asking you, Dr. Porter, questions today. So I hope you're ready for our budding journalists. So first we have Camila, who is in 3rd grade, and her go-to name is Cool Camila. And we also have Rachel, who is in 4th grade. Rachel, just wave to everybody. We have Rachel, who's in 4th grade, and her go-to name is Really Rocky Rachel. So Dr. Porter, may we have your permission to call you by your go-to name? Could you tell us what your go-to name is?
I think I'm going to go with Tough Tiff. So yes, feel free to call me that.
Okay. All right. So we're all friends here. So we are going to go by Tough Tiff tonight. So I want to hand over the first question. Camila, are you ready to come off mute? So what we'll do tonight is, Camila, you'll ask a question. Dr. Porter or Tough Tiff will answer that for us. And then Rachel, I'll pass it to you. And we'll go back and forth, and we'll try to save a little bit of time for our friends who are watching to ask some questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw that into our Q&A or chat box. So cool, Camila, go ahead and ask the first question.
What made you want to be an athlete?
That is a really good question, Camila. And first of all, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm really excited about the work that you're doing. But specifically to answer your question, Camila, I think one thing that really contributed to me wanting to be an athlete is that I have two older brothers who are also athletes. So I used to watch them and I would always try to beat them. They were way older than me, so I could never beat them until I got older. But that's kind of what started that love for sport in me. My dad was an athlete in Nigeria. I had uncles that went to Olympics and stuff like that. So it's always been in my family.
That's awesome. Thank you. Rachel, next question, please.
Let's say someone had a passion for a sport, but they had a disability or something that prevented them from doing that sport. What advice would you give them?
That is a fantastic question. And thank you for asking that. I think I would say two things. One, I would say to give it a shot. Just because you think you may not be able to do it, or just because it hasn't been done before with, their disability or whatever that hindrance is, doesn't mean that it can't be done. Sometimes you can break barriers and open up doors that you didn't even know you could open. So first of all, try it. And if for some reason, it wasn't meant for you, I would encourage that person to try to find something else that they may be passionate about, that they may be really good at, because God made us all very special and everybody has talents and unique things that are specific to them. So I would say to just maybe see if maybe there's anything else that they can excel at different than that sport.
Perfect advice. And Camila, next question. I think you have a special one about the Olympics. Can you ask that question?
Yeah, sure. How much work did it take you to get to the Olympics?
That's a very good question. And everybody's journey to the Olympics is a little bit different. So for me specifically, I had to kind of go through the ranks. So I ran track in elementary school and middle school and high school. And then I went to the University of Michigan and I had a lot of success there. And then from there, I signed a contract as a professional hurdler with Adidas. And that really helped me to be able to focus only on training and only on what it's going to take to get me to the Olympics. So yeah, I train 5 days a week, sometimes 6, depending on the cycle that we're in. And then I also have to do a lifting session on top of my running session. So some days, 3 days a week, I have 2 practices instead of just 1. And then even outside of that, it's a lifestyle commitment. So I have to watch what I eat. I try to get 8 hours of sleep, even though I have a young child, and sometimes that's not possible. And recovery, I have to get sports massages, and there's just a lot of things that go into being an Olympic athlete.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. And Rachel, next question. I think you have one about inspiration. Can you ask your inspiration question for us?
Yeah, what or who is your biggest inspiration and why?
That is a very good question. I think my inspiration comes from 2 places primarily. One, I believe that the Lord gave me this talent that I want to be a good steward of. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything in my power with integrity to be the best athlete that I can be, because I think that's just a gift that I was given, and it's really important to work hard to be your best self. And then also, I think one thing that motivates me is to be better than the woman that I was yesterday. So if you hear my daughter in the background, she's watching a little bit of TV right now. But if I ran a really fast time at a track meet on Monday, my goal is to run even faster on Tuesday. And I think always having those big goals ahead of you really helps you to just stay motivated and stay inspired so you can continue to get better and better. And then also I want to make my family and my community proud as well.
That's awesome. And we are proud. We do have a question here in the chat. I think I'll just change the order a little bit, make sure we have time for our chat participants. So the question here says, what tips do you have for girls on the run who are full of energy, but have been isolated and confined during the pandemic? What tips do you have for our girls?
That is a fantastic question. And that's a question that even me as a professional runner, I'm still trying to navigate and still trying to work through. But my recommendation would be to try to find a park or an open field or a hill or even a track, somewhere that you can be socially distanced and, kind of stay safe, but just to get out there and get active. I think one thing that we were all really forced to do last year and this year were to get creative with our workouts. I created a workout gym in my basement and I lift there. In fact, I'm going to be lifting there tomorrow after my running, my practice. So I would say just try to get creative. And even on YouTube, there are some really great workouts that you can do even in your own house. And that will help you to, get stronger, get fit, and just be ready for when outside opens back up and we can get back to our normal routine of things.
Thank you. And again, any other questions that you have here in the audience, feel free to put them in the chat. Camila, we'll go back to you. You have a question about hurdling. Tell us what your hurdling question is.
What do you enjoy about the hurdles?
I enjoy the fact that it's such a challenge. It's really hard to, first of all, run as a sprinter, but then when you add, 33-inch barriers times 10 for every competition, it forces you to be really accurate and to really focus on the task that you are doing, because if you don't, you'll hit your knee, you'll hit your leg, you can fall. I've fallen so many times. So it's really important to just make sure that every single session you're really focused. So that is an added level of excitement in track and field for me, being able to do that and to do it effectively and efficiently. And I think another cool thing about the hurdles is I think it's a great metaphor for life. You're going to have obstacles, you're going to have barriers thrown your way, and it's a form of art to be able to clear those barriers and to do it effectively and efficiently. So I think both of those things are kind of what drew me to the hurdles and still keeps it very exciting even today.
We love it. Another question came in from our audience here. What is your advice for balancing a career and being a mom of a young child?
Ooh, you guys are coming with the really good questions today. I think a big factor that has contributed to me being able to do this is the team that I surround myself with. So my husband, he was an athlete as well. So he understands the ins and outs of being a professional athlete. And he also is very supportive. He knows that we have a very big goal, God willing, this year, if and when the Olympics happen, that we want to achieve. So he understands what goes into making an Olympian and to getting on top of that podium. So I think having him as my coach and my husband, he really gets it. I also have my cousin Jordan, who is a nanny, and she helps me on the days that I have my practices in the morning and then my 10-hour shift in the pharmacy. And then, we just have a great team. And my mom lives here about 10 minutes away. She's also helpful. And then my mother-in-law is also very helpful. So I think just having that family support and having a good team of people that are going to help keep you accountable, I think is really important. I also train with my little sister. She's also an Olympic level athlete, and she is very competitive and very fast. So I think having her to just keep me on my toes, to make sure that I'm bringing 100% every day at practice, helps me to kind of step up my game in every area of my life.
Thank you. I was all ears for that one, because if you don't follow Dr. Tough Tiff on Instagram, she's such a positive light. And I'm always asking her, how do you do it all? How do you balance it all? So thank you for sharing that. We have another question in the chat, and then we can hop back to our amazing girls. First off, you're so inspiring, and we're curious, what are your goals for the future?
Ooh, I have some really big goals. So first, my immediate goal is to qualify for the Olympic Games. And, you know, we train so hard, we dedicate so much to this craft that I don't think you'll meet an athlete out there who says they're training to get second. So once I get there, I want to make sure that I'm in the best position physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything to give my best at the Olympic Games. So that's my most immediate goal. That's within the next 4 months or so. And then on the pharmacy level, I do want to continue to, you know, be the best pharmacist that I can be. I think it's really important that we are, you know, going to be instrumental in giving out the COVID vaccines. All of my colleagues have already started. My company hasn't yet at the retail level, but just making sure that I'm continuing to be innovative and just striving to be the best pharmacist. And then also I have a property management business as well. And I do eventually want to grow that, maybe get some more units, some more tenants, and then just dibble and dabble in other things, real estate as well. So, and obviously to be the best mom that I can be, by the grace of God, eventually I do want to have more children. So it will definitely be interesting trying to juggle that with multiple kids if that's what the Lord has in store for me. So I think just kind of, I take things piece by piece. I have kind of immediate goals, and then I have kind of long-term goals on every different aspect of my life.
We're all inspired. We're waiting for the book. Tough Tiff, we will be waiting for the book. Rachel, let's go back to you with one of your questions. You have a question about what Tough Tiff likes to do when she's not on the track, about hobbies. Do you have that question ready? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so what do you like to do when you're not doing track and when you're not taking care of your children or your child? What do you like to do as a different hobby?
That's a really good question. So I like to cook, I like to eat. So going out to eat with my husband and my friends is a lot of fun. I used to dibble and dabble in gardening a little bit before I had my daughter, but I don't have as much time now. But I do like to beautify spaces. So in the past, I would go and prune my roses. I would make sure my petunias are well fed, and I have some hydrangeas that never quite did well. But yeah, so gardening. And then also before I had my daughter, I like to sew as well. Don't have as much time to do that, but I do a little bit of alterations here and there, but just making like full-fledged garments, I just don't have the time for that right now. And then I like to watch movies. So with COVID happening and the movie theaters being closed, that was a little bit tough for me because going to the movie theater was one of my favorite pastimes. I just love watching good movies and eating popcorn and having all the snacks. And yeah, I like reading. I do it on my phone, like on my, e-reader. Yeah, and that's, I mean, just hanging out with my family and friends. My love language is quality time, so I definitely love spending time with people that I love.
Oh, we love to hear that. Rhonda, should we go back to the chat? We have one more in the chat. We have about 4 more minutes left with Tough Tiff, because we know she is busy training. We want her to be ready for the Olympics. We appreciate your time. So we have about 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I'll ask this last question in the chat, and then we can hop over. I think we have one more from Camila, and we can close it off if that works for you all. We have the amazing Mina, and I hope I said that right, Mina. She's 8, and her question is, how did you become a doctor and an athlete at the same time? What did it take to do both?
That's an incredible question. I went to the University of Michigan, and when I was a freshman, I knew I wanted to go into something in healthcare. So my top 3 were dentistry, medicine, or pharmacy. And then after I started learning more about the different professions, I just decided that pharmacy was the best fit for my life, because even back then, as a 17, 18-year-old, I knew I wanted to have children and be able to have a career that allowed me to have time outside of work. So I chose pharmacy. So from there, I studied a lot. I was a student athlete at the University of Michigan, so I was also juggling, running track there and then trying to get into pharmacy school. And then my senior year, or my 4th year of eligibility, was my first year of pharmacy school. So I tried to get my prerequisites out as quickly as possible to have my athletic scholarship paid for as much as they could. So they actually ended up paying for 5 years total. And then the last 2 years I paid for out of my contract with Adidas. So that was a lot of work. I juggled it being a student athlete while at college, while in pharmacy school. And then when I became a professional, I was still kind of a student athlete in a sense. And to be honest with you, I had people tell me that you wouldn't be able to do both. You have to choose. Either you want to be a professional athlete or you want to be a pharmacist, but you can't do both. It was mostly like some coaches on the track side saying that. And I used that as motivation to prove them wrong. You know, at the beginning when I said just because something hasn't been done before, doesn't mean that it can't be done. I think that's just a really important message that I live my life by, that just because somebody tells you you can't do it, prove them wrong. So that was kind of my journey to pharmacy. And then my journey to kind of where I am now. And I can say those hard days really prepared me for now, because it was a lot harder then when I was a student athlete than now, just kind of being a pharmacist and a professional athlete.
We love it. Okay, can we squeeze in 2 more quick questions? We're going to throw it to you, Camila, for your last question, and then we have one that's a great question in the Q&A. So Camila, we'll let you pick one of your last questions.
Okay. Mine is, which international competitions did you like the most and why?
That's a fantastic question, because that's one great thing about being a professional athlete. You get to travel to so many different cities, iconic places that you would never even imagine going to. I think for me, it's tough. I think between Doha, which is in Qatar, which is in the United Arab Emirates in the Middle East, and then between Monaco, which is a small island off of France. Both of those places are very lavish. They're just very rich places. So you can see a Lamborghini just driving down the street like it's nothing. It's just beautiful, both of them. And they're both really, really hot. I like to run in really hot places. So I would say it'd be between Doha and Monaco, just because of how cool the cities are.
Oh, that's great. Track and field can take you around the world. We love it. And then we'll ask the last question, Rhonda, from the Q&A, and then we will close.
Yes, we have a question from Bridget, who is asking, what is the best event to start with when you are just starting track and field? Great question.
Ooh, that is a very good question, and not one I think I can answer specifically, and I'll tell you why. I think everybody's body type is different. You know, you have people who are, you know, more geared towards being long distance runners, and people like myself who couldn't run a mile to save their life, but I can beat you over some hurdles, who are more, you know, geared towards being sprinters. So I would say I would just give new runners the advice to try every single event. Even if you say there's no way, you might surprise yourself, because I didn't even think I was going to be a hurdler. I figured I was going to be a sprinter. I actually really like the long jump. So I think when you're young and you try every single event, it gives you an opportunity to see what you're naturally gifted at and to see what you naturally like to do. Because just because you're gifted at something doesn't mean that you might like it. For instance, I, to this very day, think I may have been better at the long jump than I am at the hurdles, but I just like the hurdles more, you know what I mean? So I think that's something that every young athlete, just try every single event and try to find a coach who understands track and field a little bit, who can kind of guide you. Because my high school coach guided me to the hurdles, and I need to give that man the biggest hug, because that was one of the best decisions of my life. And it literally has opened up so many doors that I didn't think would ever be open. So just try every event, basically.
We love it. We love it. So many just nuggets of information. Try everything, conquer those hurdles. This has been such a great talk. Thank you, Camila. Thank you, Rachel, for leading our Q&A session. Thank you, Tough Tiff, Dr. Porter, for inspiring us. On behalf of Project Play, we are just so thrilled to have you here in our community. Can't wait to cheer you on this summer. And then I will hand it over to you, Rhonda, to close us out.
Yeah, well, I'm going to echo everything Alana said. We just thank you so much, Dr. Porter, Tough Tip. You know, you are family here at Girls on the Run. Rachel, Camila, thank you so much for just taking time out of your afternoons. Both of these girls are in Girls on the Run right now, so they have their own practices that they're in twice a week. So just thank you, everyone who is attending, all the panelists, attendees, and have an amazing evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me. It was my pleasure. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Good night, everybody.
Good night.